My name is Kurt Weber, and his name.
My name is Ash St. John.
We call ourselves Weber St. John. We are a piano-violin duo. We play all sorts of music, but one niche that we have is arrangements of hymns that we often hear in churches. I grew up, my mom's a music teacher and a church musician, and my dad's a pastor as well. And so I grew up in the church and grew up with a mom that wanted me to always learn how to play the piano with my siblings, and so I remember at a young age being dragged to Mrs. Rupert's house. I never liked taking lessons and I never liked playing the piano as a kid, but I do recognize even back then I had the gift of it. And I took lessons for about 10 years and then ended up in high school quitting and didn't play for quite a few years, and ultimately spent some time in the military, in the Army, and I was on a deployment I was in the National Guard, but I was on a deployment in Kuwait. Heard some music that I just fell in love with, and I started relearning how to play the piano. I'd go to bed at 4 to 5 in the morning, but in that off time I'd go to the chapel on the base. That's where the piano was. Came back home to the United States and started playing these pieces, and my mother was like, hey, this is beautiful. Where'd this come from? And every time I would go to visit my parents, my mom would always ask, hey, I'm playing organ tomorrow. Would you be willing to play during a little bit of the piano during communion or offering or whatever? And after doing this for about a year, I got inspired to start composing an arrangement of a hymn or two, and created an arrangement of the hymn called Christ Be My Leader. I did a Craigslist ad, and this guy named Ash St. John reached out and said, hey, this is something. A friend of mine reached out, and that's how I met Ash.
I was a singer-songwriter and playing violin a little bit on the side. Throughout the years, I met people like Kurt and my other band. I'm in a country band. Played a lot of open mics, and every year it's become more and more of who I am.
I was engaged, and my fiance was working as an activities director at a senior home. And she said, Kurt, I need somebody to play for the Valentine's Day party, background piano music. But a lot of churches would love this music. We're Lutheran background, so Lutheran churches are more willing to say, this is interesting. There's a lot of churches that are like, a little like, who are you guys? We're working on an Abide With Me arrangement right now, and maybe it'll be done in July. I don't know, I can't promise anything, but...
Well, you got a kid coming. So
yeah. I have one already who's gonna be 2 next month, and we have another one coming in September. Exciting, but sometimes it's like, I don't have time for anything. I love hymns now, and there's many beautiful ones out there. And I think a lot of people they hear them in church and forget about them. But they're beautiful tunes, they're beautiful melodies. If you study the actual words, there's beautiful theology you can learn from them as well.
When we play concerts, it's instrumental music.
Yeah.
However, you encourage them to open up.
I do.
Read along as we're playing, just to get some inspiration.
Hymns historically have always either been mini prayers or mini sermons in a musical setting, right? You kind of ask the question, why is there singing in the church, right? Is it just a musical tune for entertainment? You might not learn as much from that song, but if you really start incorporating everything musically to back up what you're teaching that day, hymns are very powerful. That wasn't necessarily the goal when we started, but it's become like an interesting, like, oh, yeah.